Let's get honest for a moment. Jealousy isn't always loud. It doesn't come crashing through the door shouting, "I'm bitter." It doesn't always show up with harsh words or angry stares. More often, it's quiet, subtle. It hides behind polite smiles and overly enthusiastic likes on your posts. But it can do real damage to your peace, to your relationships, to your focus and growth. And here's the twist. Most of us don't even recognize it when it's right in front of us. We confuse it with harmless envy, a bit of competition, or even support. We tell ourselves, maybe they're just going through something, or I'm probably overthinking it. But deep down, something feels off, like they're clapping, but only with one hand. Because true jealousy, real, deep, corrosive jealousy, doesn't always announce itself. It leaks in from people you'd never expect, a friend, a family member, a coworker who suddenly starts mentioning how easy your job must be right after your promotion. Someone who once clapped for you but now falls silent when you rise. The truth is, if you're out here trying, growing, building something for yourself, becoming the kind of person you always hope to be, someone somewhere is watching. Not cheering, watching, hoping you stumble, hoping life knocks you off balance, hoping your big glow-up has a glitch. And sometimes, it's not because they're bad people. It's because your progress reminds them of their own stuckness. Your light reveals the parts of them they've kept in the dark. You didn't ask for that comparison. You didn't come into their life to compete. But still, they feel it. Like you showing up to brunch looking emotionally stable just ruined their weekend. If you're not aware of the signs, jealousy can sneak into your life unnoticed. It can chip away at your confidence and make you question people who once felt safe. So what do? You learn to spot it. You learn the signs, not to hold resentment, but to protect your energy. Because your peace is worth guarding. Your focus is worth keeping. And not everyone who smiles is cheering. Some are watching, measuring, waiting, like emotional influencers without a brand deal. There for the drama, not the growth. This isn't about paranoia, it's about clarity. Let's break it down. Here are 7 signs someone is extremely jealous of you and may not even realize how much it's showing. 1. They can't be happy for your success. You know that moment when something finally goes right in your life? A promotion, a relationship, a personal win you've worked for behind the scenes, and naturally you want to share it with someone close, someone you think is on your team. But instead of joy, you're met with silence, awkward smiles, a sudden distance. Maybe they stop calling, maybe they change the subject, maybe they hit you with a flat, "Oh wow, must be nice," and then scroll through their phone like you just announced you refilled your gas tank, not changed your life. That, my friend, is jealousy, and it's not harmless. We like to believe the people closest to us will always be happy when we win, that our success will inspire support, but jealousy doesn't always wear a villain's cape. Sometimes it wears a polite expression and mumbles backhanded compliments. Other times, it shows up as subtle jabs about your past, delivered right after you've finally overcome it. Instead of encouragement, you hear things like, "Let's see how long that lasts," or "Wow, they gave you that job." It's not feedback, it's insecurity, disguised as concern. And here's what hurts. It's usually not from strangers, it's someone you trusted. Someone who used to clap when you won small, but suddenly can't handle it when your wins get real. And you start wondering, is it me? But no, you're not the problem. Because real supporters don't flinch when you shine. A real friend doesn't make your joy feel too big for the room. They clap even if they're struggling themselves, because they know there's enough room at the top for everyone. They don't see your glow up as a threat. They see it as proof that growth is possible. But a jealous person, they'll try to shrink you, gently, quietly, consistently. And if you're not careful, you'll start shrinking yourself, just to make them comfortable. That's when you need to protect your energy. Your achievements don't need to be toned down for anyone. You're not required to dim your light just because someone else hasn't found theirs. Your growth isn't arrogant. Your success isn't too loud. You're not too much. They're just not ready. Let them look confused in the back row. You keep walking toward the front. 2. They throw shade disguised as advice. Some people never run out of advice, but somehow it only shows up when you're doing well. You land a new opportunity, and suddenly they're full of helpful suggestions, none of which actually help. At first glance, it sounds like support. "I'm just looking out for you," they say. "I just want to make sure you're being smart." But when you listen closely, it's not about lifting you up. It's about bringing you down gently, in disguise. This is the kind of advice that leaves you doubting your own instincts, not because you made a mistake, but because someone made you feel like you did. You get comments like, "I wouldn't have done it that way," or "You sure that's the right move?" Followed by a quiet pause, just long enough to plant uncertainty. Let's call it what it is: subtle sabotage with a concerned expression. They never say it outright. That's the game. They'd never tell you not to chase your goals, but they'll drop enough concerns to make you hesitate. And just like that, their jealousy gets to live rent-free in your head, pretending to be wisdom. Now here's the test. Do they ever celebrate your wins? Do they show up for your progress, or only when it's time to critique? Because real support doesn't sound like second-guessing. Real advice comes with celebration, not competition. A true friend might challenge you, but they'll do it with love, and they'll be just as loud when things go right as they are when things go wrong. Jealous people, on the other hand, prefer to play the long game. They'll pose as the wise voice of reason, the realist, the one who's just trying to help you slow down and think it through. But the timing always seems suspicious, doesn't it? Why is it only when you're finally making moves that they find so much to worry about? They want the credit of helping without the discomfort of clapping. So if someone always finds a way to question your direction, but never your results, pay attention. That's not mentorship. It's insecurity in a trench coat, trying to sound helpful. Trust your path. Thank them for the feedback if you want to be polite. Then keep walking. 3. They talk behind your back, but never to your face. You ever get that gut feeling that someone's smiling a little too hard in front of you and talking a little too much when you're not around? That's not paranoia, that's pattern recognition. Jealousy rarely confronts you directly. It whispers behind closed doors. It thrives in the background, where there's no accountability. The jealous person, they'll act like everything's cool in person. They'll laugh at your jokes, nod at your wins, maybe even say, "I'm happy for you." But the moment you're gone, the tone shifts. Suddenly you're the topic, and not in a good way. They gossip, they downplay, they twist your words just enough to make others question you. I mean, good for them, but did you hear how they really got that job? Or, I don't know, something just feels off about them lately. It's character erosion, one subtle comment at a time. And here's the thing, they'd never say it to your face. Why? Because they know you'd see through it. They know that deep down you're grounded, and you'd call them out without even raising your voice. So instead they choose the shadows. The break room whispers, the group chat you're not in. It's not about truth, it's about control. They want to manage how others see you because they can't manage how you make them feel. And if they can't dim your light directly, they'll try to smudge your image indirectly. The worst part, it often comes from people you once trusted, people who used to be in your circle. And that makes it harder to believe, because we all want to think the best of those around us. But jealousy doesn't care about your history. It only cares about your momentum. So if you start hearing strange feedback from mutual friends, if people suddenly have concerns about things you never said or did, pay attention. That's not a coincidence. That's someone trying to control the room you're not in. And remember, people who are truly confident don't need to talk about others to feel valuable. They don't need to chip away at someone else's reputation just to build their own. If someone can't bring their concerns to you directly, they don't deserve your trust. Let them whisper in the shadows. You've got bigger things to do in the light. 4. They try to compete with you in every area. Some people just can't let you breathe. You do something normal, get in shape, redecorate your apartment, post a small win, and suddenly they're in a silent race you never agreed to run. You buy a jacket, they buy a jacket, just slightly more expensive. You post a vacation photo, they're on a trip the next week. Different location, but oddly same pose. You mentioned starting a side project. They've been thinking of doing that too. And now they're posting daily updates. And here's the thing, it's not that self-improvement is bad. Competing with yourself? Powerful. But what they're doing isn't growth, it's comparison in disguise. They're not trying to become better, they're trying to outpace you specifically. Like life is one long Instagram story, and they can't let your update get more views. You'll notice the pattern. Every time you move forward, they pivot. Not toward their dreams, toward yours. They mimic your momentum, not because they're inspired, but because they feel threatened. Your progress becomes their scoreboard, your joy becomes their trigger, and the more you succeed, the more obvious it becomes. Suddenly they're showing up in your lane trying to prove something, to themselves, to others, to you. You're not competing, but they are. You're living, and they're benchmarking every step. They'll act supportive, but there's always that edge. The wow, congrats, I've been meaning to do something like that too. Or, that's cool, I actually just started a similar thing. You're not in competition, but somehow they've turned your glow into a spotlight they feel they have to step into. That's jealousy. Not the loud, aggressive kind, but the quiet, exhausting kind that turns every interaction into a measuring contest. And here's what they don't get. Life isn't a leaderboard. Your success doesn't push anyone down. But when someone's self-worth depends on being one step ahead of you, they'll turn everything into a race, even the stuff you never planned on running. Let them sprint. You keep walking your path. 5. They make everything about them. Ever tried sharing something meaningful, something you're proud of, and suddenly the conversation takes a sharp left turn, right into their drama? You start talking about a recent win and boom, they've got a bigger one. You open up about something painful, and somehow their pain is always just a little more intense. It's like emotional one-upping is their favorite sport. These folks have a special skill, turning the spotlight toward themselves no matter where it originally pointed. You could be mid-sentence, sharing something vulnerable or exciting, and before you know it, they've hijacked the moment. Now you're nodding while they relive an old story for the 5th time because once again, your moment became their stage. And the thing is, they don't always do it with bad intentions. But when someone is jealous of you, this behavior starts to show up constantly. They can't truly celebrate you because your success reminds them of what they haven't done. Your struggles. They don't have space for those either, because listening to you means they'd have to stop talking about themselves. Jealousy doesn't always sound hostile. Sometimes it just sounds like, that reminds me of when or I've been dealing with something even crazier, or yeah, but have I told you about my week? And now you're left feeling like your experience somehow got lost in translation. It's not just frustrating, it's exhausting. You'll notice they rarely ask follow-up questions. They don't really listen. They're not engaging with your story. They're using it as a launch pad for theirs. And instead of walking away feeling seen or supported, you feel dismissed, minimized, and oddly invisible in your own conversation. That's the hidden effect of jealousy. It doesn't always knock you down, it just consistently pulls the focus away from you until you start wondering if what you're going through even matters. But here's the truth. It does matter. Your growth, your wins, your pain, your process, it's all valid. And the right people won't make you fight for space to share it. If someone can't let you have the floor once in a while, that's not just poor communication. That's someone who's struggling to make room for anyone but themselves. Let them monologue. You're building something real. 6. They belittle your achievements. You ever hit a milestone, finally accomplish something you've been grinding toward, and someone finds a way to make it feel small? You work late nights, you push through doubt, you make sacrifices, then you share your win, and suddenly someone drops a casual, "Oh, that's cool. I mean, anyone could have done that if they had time." Or, "Lucky you, things just seem to fall into place." Just like that, your accomplishment becomes a coincidence instead of a credit. This is how jealousy talks when it's too insecure to be honest. They won't openly tear you down, but they'll chip at the edges. A little comment here, a downplayed reaction there. They might even follow up your big moment with a half joke. "I could have done that too, but you know, I have real responsibilities." It's dressed up as humor, but it's aimed to hit something deeper. And the real kicker, if you call it out, even gently, you'll probably hear, "Wow, you're so sensitive," or "I was just joking." That's not clarity, that's deflection. They want to say the thing and avoid the consequence. Classic move. But don't fall for it. When someone can't give you credit where credit is due, that's not humility. It's projection. Your achievement reminds them of everything they're not doing. And instead of turning that discomfort into motivation, they try to bring your moment down to a level they can emotionally handle. That's not your problem. Your wins don't need disclaimers. You don't owe anyone a watered-down version of your success to make them feel comfortable. You earned it. You showed up when it was hard. You followed through when no one was watching. That's not luck, that's work. If someone can't say congrats without a caveat, let them wrestle with that on their own time. You're busy building the next milestone. 7. They try to make you feel guilty for succeeding. Sometimes the hardest part of success isn't the work. It's the way certain people react once you've made it. You reach a goal, finally get ahead, and instead of celebration, you get side comments. Must be nice. Some of us don't have that kind of free time. I wish I had your luck. It's not direct hate, but it's heavy with resentment and just sharp enough to sting. They're not mad at what you did. They're mad that you did it. And now they want to make you feel bad for getting somewhere they haven't. It's not your achievement they resent. It's the mirror it holds up to their own inaction. They won't say it outright. They'll let their tone do the talking. The cold shoulder, the quiet competition, the sarcastic one-liners. You might notice their energy shift after good news, or how they suddenly vanish from the group chat when you post about your progress. And it puts you in a weird spot. Like you're supposed to tiptoe around your own growth. Like you're supposed to whisper your wins, shrink your pride, and preface every accomplishment with a nervous, "I don't want to sound full of myself, but let's be clear, you don't owe anyone guilt for growing. You didn't get here by accident. You didn't skip the struggle. You didn't just get lucky. You kept showing up even on the days when it felt like nothing was moving. You were doing the work quietly, long before anyone noticed. That's not privilege. That's perseverance. But to someone who's jealous, effort doesn't register. They see the result and assume ease. They project their frustration, not because you've done something wrong, but because they haven't taken their own first step. And here's the trap. If you let their discomfort dictate your confidence, you'll start apologizing for things you worked hard to earn. Success isn't a crime. Pride isn't arrogance. Being proud of what you've built doesn't mean you're bragging. It means you respect your own effort. So if someone only claps when you're struggling but goes silent when you rise, that's not a supporter. That's a spectator with mixed feelings. Let them deal with that. You've got momentum. You've got goals. You've got nothing to explain. Celebrate loud or quiet or however you want, but don't ever feel guilty for leveling up. Here's something that's hard to accept, but necessary. Jealousy is rarely about you. It's about the person feeling it. People who are jealous of you aren't necessarily bad. They're often just lost, stuck, or hurting. Your success reminds them of the life they wish they were living. Your focus makes them feel scattered. Your progress shines a light on everything they haven't done, and that's uncomfortable. But just because they're struggling doesn't mean you need to carry that weight before them. You're not here to dim your light to keep others from squinting. You're not responsible for someone else's insecurity. You've worked for your growth, your peace, your momentum, and you don't need to apologize for any of it. But here's the key. Don't let their jealousy change you. Don't let it turn you bitter. Don't let it make you guarded with the people who genuinely support you. Don't start assuming that every smile hides a motive. That's how jealousy wins. When it makes you smaller, quieter, colder. Instead, be wise. Pay attention to the patterns. Recognize the signs, not to fight back, not to prove anything, but to protect your peace. Jealousy will always exist, but clarity will always win. So ask yourself, who claps when you rise? Who shows up when you win? Who supports you when it's your turn to shine? Keep those people close. Let the rest fall away. And never forget, you don't need to shrink to be safe. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to rise without guilt. And you're allowed to keep going, even when others wish you wouldn't. Remember, when you grow, not everyone claps. But the wise ones, they usually click subscribe. That's it for now.